Hello, everyone. We're students from ICC. My name is Yilin Ye Catherine.
My name is Ziyu Eavan.
And today we're going to talk about life. In my childhood, I was a pretty ordinary kid. I am cheerful, outgoing, and also I'm able to get along with my classmates. I came from a stable family, and I have plenty of friends. For all accounts, they are not something to be criticized. But there was one thing I kept wondering about. At school, some boys will call me tigress because I'm kind of curious and I like to play like boys games, such as video games, chasing, and also like some toy cars. And also when I play so crazily, my adults and my parents will call me that I should be acting more like a girl. But I kept wondering about why. Why there are so certain boys act like this way and girls like that way, and we have to act in a certain girl's way. And also, there is an incident in my 6th grade, and I remember it until now. One of my friends have got her periods, and she was in a lot of pain. And I wanted to take her to get some hot water, but a boy stand in front of us talking to others, and I told to him that she is very suffering about her periods, and can you just stand away, and I want to take her to get some hot water. But the boy just said, that's none of my business, so what? At that moment, I feel really angry and confused. I can't understand why a person can be so cold toward a person that was clearly suffering from her periods. So I kept wondering about that, and I began to observe that the girls that are experiencing their periods. So I find that for me, I'm lucky because I usually don't feel much pain during mine. But for many others, it is another story. Because they suffer in low spirits, some even need painkillers to get through the day, and yet hardly anyone seems to notice. Life goes on as usual for them, and very few people see the silent pain hidden behind their ordinary routines.
When I first entered my high school, I considered myself quite good at math. I loved the clarity when solving a problem and the small thrill when a difficult question finally made sense. So when a math competition was announced, I began to find teammates. But when I asking around in my homeroom, boys just smile awkwardly. 1, 2, 3, they avoid me like they are avoiding a bug. Finally, one of them chose to be generous and tell me the truth. Girls aren't really good at math. And one added, maybe you can just make posters for us instead. It's your loss not to group with me, I respond, as if I was not hurt at all. But a quiet unease began to settle in. Their words were not sharp or cruel, yet they lingered like a faint echo in my mind. I had always believed I was good at math, until that moment when I suddenly wasn't sure. It wasn't that I stopped liking math, I just stopped believing I could belong in it.
I have faced the same problem in my high school. So for me, I'm very interested in robotics. But when I entered high school, I joined the robotics club, but the teacher told me that you can leave that structural works to boys and you can just take it easy. But for me, maybe he thinks that it is a kind of protection to me. But actually, for me, it is a lose of chance to learn the robotics knowledge. And for a club that will already have very few girls, it led to a kind of invisible marginalization for me.
From then on, the doubts began to multiply. Every time I made a small mistake, I heard that same voice whispering. Maybe they were right. I started to sit in the back of the classroom, hesitant to speak up even if I knew the answer. I was afraid not of failure, but of confirming their expectations. Then come calculus, the most meaningful course I'd ever taken. Not only the concepts and the formula, but also how it changes me. The path was fast, the concepts abstract, and the homework endless. There were nights when I stared at my notes in frustration, thinking, maybe I'm not built for this after all.
Same for me. It also makes me feel upset. Maybe the teacher thinks he's taking protection to me, but actually for me, I'm very disappointed about this. And it also pushed the gender imbalance to another extreme and could cause many intensified contradictions. Because boys may think that I had it easy because I didn't have to do so much, But for me, I'm disappointed because I lose the chance to learn.
But one afternoon after class, my teacher stopped me. He must have noticed the frustration on my face because he said gently, "You're not bad at math, you're just learning something new. Everyone struggled before they improved." That moment changed everything. It was such a simple sentence and it peeled away months of my self-doubt. I realized that confidence isn't something we are born with. It is something we rebuild again and again through persistence. So I stayed, I practiced, I asked questions even when my voice trembled. And slowly, through countless derivatives and integrals, math began to feel familiar again. Not as a test of intelligence, but as a language of patience and curiosity. I fell in love with it all over again.
So for me, perhaps it's because of my unwillingness to give up. I stayed and practiced too. So although the teacher will ask me to leave the task to boys again and again, but I still try my best to complete them, and also I become more active to learn the robotics knowledge. So at last, for days and days, months and months, although we only got 2 to 3 girls in the whole team of 30 people, I was able to integrate into the group and truly learn the robot knowledge that was once of my reach.
Looking back, I realized that my journey with math wasn't just about solving equations, it was about solving something within myself. The belief that I needed someone else's permission to feel capable. And once that belief was gone, I no longer need anyone to tell me what I could or could not do as a girl. Both of us grew up surrounded by quiet expectations that girls should be gentle, composed, and cautious. Those words sound harmless, but they draw invisible lines around who we are and who we are going to be. From being called a tigress in childhood, to being overlooked in a robotic club, to doubting our place in a math competition. These moments may seem small, but they carry weight. They shape how we see ourselves and how we measure our worth.
So I've remembered my homeroom teacher in 8th grade. She seemed tolerant, understanding, and she allowed boys to have fun during the breaks. But she still seemed so tolerant when the boys used vulgar language to girls, although that hurts the girls a lot. But she didn't understand in the girls' perspective. Maybe she thinks that it's just a joke. Maybe she don't think that it's a big deal. But actually, it hurt a lot. So in fact, it's often difficult for women to think from their own standpoint, because many people are considered as different from the first gender as the second gender. And my teacher subconsciously was thinking in the boys' perspective, and that's the issue. Taking Chinese, many people use the character ta with the female radical to specifically prefer to women, and use the character ta to prefer to both humanity general and also to the male in particular. So although this sounds the same, it's a huge difference between them.
Being present isn't the same as being seen. Nowadays, the number of people who think this way is decreasing as public awareness continues to grow. But another kind of situation is becoming more common, and this one affects both genders. Haven't you ever heard people say that boys should go into tough, hands-on jobs like engineering because those are heavy fields? And if a boy is good at dancing or singing, he's often seen as lacking masculinities. This happens because many people carry prejudice that ignore individual uniqueness. They choose to view others through a stereotypical gender framework, one that limits us all.
Different groups may have different feelings and understanding about these kind of situations, and we clearly recognize that this kind of situation won't end in a short period. But from our self-experiences, we can learn that confidence can be rebuilt, and also subjectivity can be reclaimed. Sometimes it begins with a teacher who believes you before you do. Sometimes it begins with you dare to raise your hand one more time, even after being ignored. And sometimes it begins here, by speaking out loud the truth we've both come to understand. No matter which groups you are in, no matter which kind of problem you are facing, maybe please maintain your subjectivity and build confidence in yourself is very important for you. Also, I sincerely hope that all those who have been troubled by these kind of situations can stop off briefly, and those who have never had such experiences can pay more attention to these kind of situations in their future life. Nowadays, more and more people are evolving to break the gender predicament and other different groups. We need your help.
And maybe someday when a girl says she wants to join a robotic club or compete in math, no one will second guess her. They will just smile and say, "Of course, you'll be brilliant."
Thank you very much.